Established in 2004, Construction Research Institute of Malaysia, mostly known as CREAM, is a subsidiary of Construction Industry Development Board, or CIDB, that holds the responsibility over all matters related to the planning, implementation, and management of the research and development projects and related activities. With its mission to make CREAM globally recognized as the leading institute for research and development (R&D), and its vision to meet the strategic needs of R&D in the Malaysian construction industry, CREAM is committed to fulfilling its 5 objectives, that is, to fund, manage, and execute research activities and programs, offer tests and laboratory facilities for heavy structure engineering and building materials that focus on IBS structures and components, establish R&D cooperation with stakeholders in the domestic and overseas construction industry, earn funds and offer ventures for R&D activities and programs, and distribute the latest technology and R&D products to the national construction industry players through promotion, patent, and commercialization. CREAM serves as a key center that provides 3 main functions, namely research and development, testing of building materials and technical services, and assessment and certification. CREAM's main focus is the R&D program, which covers various fields. Its objective is to provide benefits to the progress of the nation's construction industry. The research themes cover 5 priority areas. They are the structural and material engineering, innovation and digitization technology, asset and facility management, environmental sustainability, productivity. Quality of service has always been CREAM's core value. This is to ensure that the Malaysian construction industry's strategic R&D needs are met. CREAM also provides testing services for material and building structure samples at its laboratory, Makmal Kerja Raya Malaysia, or MKRM. The purpose of this testing service is to assess quality and safety, as well as to improve materials and construction samples to meet the standards set. CREAM also offers services and other technical aspects such as inspection and sampling of imported building materials entering the country's ports. CREAM will conduct forensic investigations on construction sites in the event of failures or accidents. CREAM is pleased to announce that the MKRM has been expanded to Sabah and Sarawak, and that it is now ready to assist industry players in Borneo with construction material and structural testing in accordance with CIDB Act 520. CREAM Certification Services, CCS, provides construction certification services primarily for building materials listed in the CIDB Act 520. CCS performs an audit on the materials used in the production of product certification to ensure that the materials listed in Act 520 meet the standards. CCS has gained recognition from the Malaysian Standards Department in August 2018. In 2021, CREAM was recognized as a Construction Assessment Center by CIDB. This recognition has enabled CREAM to evaluate and rate construction projects. The evaluation covers 4 areas: quality, QLASIC; safety, chassis; green building, MICRES; infrastructure, sustainable Infrastar. CREAM is also responsible to carry out Certificate of Approval (COA), which is a certificate issued by CIDB to ensure that all imported construction products must meet the specified requirements of Malaysian Standard MS and other approved international standards. The issuance of the COA is in accordance with the Custom Act 235, 1967, Prohibition on Import, Amendment Number 2, Order 2014, to ensure the quality of imported construction products. To better serve the stakeholders in the national construction industry, CREAM established the Construction Industry Consulting Division, which focuses on industry networking and collaboration, as well as consulting services. The division aims to serve as a reference center and innovation hub for the Southeast Asian construction industry, ensuring economic and social responsibility in construction. CREAM is focused to be a leading-edge research institute for technology innovations in the construction industry, to act as a one-stop center for product inspection, testing, and certification services, to elevate safety, health, environment, and quality of the construction industry, to build partnerships with the industry stakeholders and researchers while exploring and encouraging the development of a knowledge-based industry.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay, hi. Thank you so much, everyone, for spending your morning with us today. My name is Intan Diana, and I'll be the MC for today's webinar. So, welcome to CREAM Webinar Series 2023. This webinar series is a program organized by Construction Research Institute of Malaysia, CREAM, and is a part of our efforts to initiate conversation on issues, challenges, new opportunities, and initiatives for the construction industry and beyond. So for your information, this webinar series is a monthly program, and we will have different themes for different months. And for the theme for June is Construction 4.0, the new construction landscape. And today, during our first session, we'll be talking about the emerging technologies for the construction, for the future of construction industry, where we have two very experienced speakers to highlight on two important technologies in construction industry, which are cyber security and drones. So just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can drop your questions into the chat box, and our moderator will bring them up during the Q&A session at the end of the second presentation today. Okay. So now, without further ado, I would like to invite our moderator for today. Our moderator is Dr. Ifa Suzila Ibrahim. She is a researcher at Construction Research Institute of Malaysia, which she joined in February 2013. Dr. Ifa Suzila received her Bachelor of Science in Real Estate Management with honours from University Tun Hussein On Malaysia in 2009. Upon completing her studies, she was a research assistant in University Tun Hussein On Malaysia in 2010 under the Technology Management and Business Faculty. Dr. Ifa Suzila then continued her master at UTHM in Science in Property and Facilities Management in 2010. She then completed her Doctorate of Philosophy PhD in Facilities Management from UiTM under Faculty of Architecture, Planning and Surveying in 2021. Her research interests are currently in the areas of facility management, property management, performance management, construction management, and construction technologies such as industrialized building system IBS. So now, without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Ifa Suzila to introduce our speakers this morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, T.S. Diana. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to everyone. I am Ifa Sudilamiti and I am researcher at CREAM. And today I will be responsible for hosting this presentation. And actually, we have two speakers today, which is Dr. Kavita Muti. She is a Chief Strategy Officer in Indian Tech Services. And second is Surveyor GS Izwan Abdullah, the Head of Solution and Services from Technology Solutions in Berhad. Okay, firstly, let me introduce our first speaker today is Dr. Kavita Muti is a Chief Strategy Officer at Interlast Tech Services, and actually, she holds a PhD in Management from University of Greenwich and a Master in Business Administration majoring in International Business from University of East London. She is the first woman in Malaysia to achieve Professional Master of Business Continuity Professional (MBCP). She was awarded a Certified Business Continuity Professional of the Year by Disaster Recovery Institute (US). She is a CyberSafe Ambassador of Cybersecurity Malaysia. She was also awarded CyberSafe Professional of the Year award by Cybersecurity Malaysia. She is one of the top 10 women in security in Malaysia, awarded by Malaysia Women in Security MYWIS, ISACA Malaysia Chapter, ASIS International Malaysia Chapter, WISACRA Women in Security and Resilient Alliance, and My Security Media. She was honored as the 2021 Women Governors 100 in the Cyber Risk Leaders category by Diligent Corporation USA, and 2022 Outstanding Woman CEO Leadership Excellence Award by KSI Institute of Malaysia. What an amazing woman. I'm really glad to welcome Dr. Kavita Muti as our first presenter today. Welcome, Dr. Kavita. And you have 45 minutes to present today.
Hi, Dr. Irfa. Am I audible? Can you hear?
I'm here. Yes,
okay.
I'm here.
Sure. All right. Okay. Thank you very much for that beautiful introduction. Let me share my slide. Are you able to see this slide?
Okay, can Doctor.
All right. Thank you very much, Doctor. So, Selamat Sejahtera. Very good morning and welcome, everyone. I think I saw a beautiful number of participants this morning, so enthusiastic to listen to our talk today. I'm excited to be part of this event, and thank you very much for CREAM for inviting me to talk a little bit and also to share my experience and knowledge based on cybersecurity. Well, that is a topic that everyone is talking about, and some people even say, wow, cybersecurity is something that everyone need to be aware of, and none of the industry can be exceptional nowadays in this ever-growing technology era. We all are living in a digital technology era, and I'm very sure that all of you are concerned about the safety when all of us are always connected, and we are not aware. We probably don't even know who is actually watching our cyberfront. So, and having said that, construction industry is not exceptional. Like, I don't have to worry about data protection in construction industry. Construction industry don't have to worry about cybersecurity. Construction industry doesn't need a cybersecurity. So this is something that I would like to share with you. Why do we have to talk about cybersecurity for construction industry? Well, all of us know that now cybersecurity being a part of construction and infrastructure industry, which have to be taken or lead by the corporate governance strategy. Now, we do understand that cyber physical system in the construction industry enhances the management, enhances the processes and the deliverable of your project. Be it be it greenfield project or even your brownfield project. And these services that you provide, which is connected construction facility for this type of project, requires cybersecurity. There's no doubt about it. We have been hearing about this knowledge-based economy and knowledge-based industry. And when we talk about knowledge-based industry, what concerns us the most is the sensitive data that we use, where you adopt to new technologies and that goes digitally, and the sensitive data that you have to manage in your organization became really important and critical. Now, Dr. Irfan have actually given an introduction just to recap a little bit so that all of you know that you are actually, who am I and why am I here today? Cybersecurity was an industry that I won't say accidentally, but in a preferred manner that I actually picked up the field, which I don't know. I know nothing. In year 2001, when some organization come and talk about cybersecurity, we were like, okay, so what do I do? What is cybersecurity? The first thing that people start talking was about ethical hacking. Hacking is something that it's like a bad word those days. And moreover, if you say it's ethical hacking, people like, can a hacker become ethical, right? So that kind of a question. So what do you do as an ethical hacker? Then we came out with a program that is called Certified Ethical Hacker by the organization called EC Council in the US. And initially they set up their presence in Malaysia. And that's how I got into the business or in the field. And I moved on to an SI to pick up, or to rather become a subject matter expert, very specific into the business continuity, disaster recovery, and information security. So today we run a boutique consulting firm, very much focused on these services: information security, business continuity, disaster recovery. Along the way, I'll be actually explaining about this BCDRIS, what are all this, and the interrelation between all these functions in the industry. So that's a bit about me, being in the industry for past 25 years. And I'm very glad to actually bring my knowledge onto this table today to share with all of you. And at the end of the session, if you have any inquiry, if you need any assistance, you need any clarification, do let us know. We will attend to you. I will try my level best to answer as much as possible. So ladies and gentlemen, let's come to the point of why do we need to talk about cybersecurity and what firms need to know about it. And is this cyber risk is real, and are we prepared for any project disruption due to cyber attack? Now, as we see that the world is increasingly connected digital, when we say digital, your processes become digital. You are becoming more paperless, and you have more software and tools that you use to design. And you communicate via email, via mobile, and you need internet connection. You're always connected. So day by day, more of our life actually being facilitated by internet technology, and all this brings tremendous benefits. No doubt about it. We agree. Without this technology today, I don't think so any one of us would want to live a life. If you think, oh, I'm going to live without an internet connection, then you probably have your children asking you, Papa, are you living in a Jurassic Park world? So that would be the question. Now, when we enjoy the benefit that internet actually bring to us, the technology that actually bring to us, at the same time, we must not forget that it also welcome many type of risk. I'm going to talk to you about those risks later, but considering the pandemic, hope all of you, just to give you a little refresh on the pandemic that has hit us in 2020, and even until today, it's a different scale of pandemic that we've been facing. Although we're talking about new variants coming, and then hopefully there's no lockdown again, and there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to people's health, and all kind of viruses are happening, and all this we have faced past 3 years now. This has actually driven away from a legacy IT. I'll give you an example. There is no such thing of working from home those days. But today, work from home is becoming normal. And people were talking in 2020, 2021, and 2022, we need to adopt to the new normal. But today, that new normal become normal. Work from home. You need to be connected. You need to have your laptop. Some of us don't even have a laptop to bring back home those days. But because of pandemic, then it became critical, essential for you to have a laptop to be connected, and you have your TV, your CCTV that monitors your performance. You have to report virtually to job and so many virtual events. Just imagine if we were to have this webinar, rather seminar, physically in a CREAM institution, physical location. That probably would have been different then. I'm talking to someone that I don't see the face. I don't even know you. I don't know whether you all are really looking at me, but I know that I'm just looking at my slide, thinking I have all this, visualizing that I have all this 100 over participants watching me. So this is how the pandemic has actually brought way too much of difference into our IT legacy. Those legacy is no longer the normal anymore. So, right? So the new normal now become the normal already. Now, the construction industry that you can see, we also realized that similar shift that had happened, where the adoption of digital because of the connection and the type of software and tools, particularly that you use, which is growing more and more. And the research actually says, sorry, I've not quoted where I picked up this research here. The Grenville research actually says the global construction software market total around 9.6 billion and expected by a compound annual at the rate of 8.5% by year 2030. So what does it mean to us? There are more software going to come in. There are more applications going to come in. There are more digital way of doing business, and construction business will actually led by this digital way of doing it. So there are many things that are happening when it comes to things in a very different manner. Now, the rise of, we also understand, we acknowledge that the rise of this technology into the construction business, it comes with risk, which I mentioned it earlier. And what is the risk? Of course, the chief among all the risks is the cybersecurity. And if you were to put it into a very simple term, what is cybersecurity? Something that can actually cause disruption technologically that jeopardize your data, that could actually give an impact to your data, which if that data were to lost, stolen, sold, and it gives from social reputation, operation, legal, and people. So this is about cybersecurity risk. And for construction company, through technology that you use certain software and tools to build project, and you become more vulnerable because you have a lot of sensitive data that you use, and that could be a target for the cyber criminals. Now, hackers actually intend on breaching organization data systems and extortion them for a significant dollar of amount. Or you might be thinking, I'm having a small company. What does it matter to me? And hacker actually do target large companies, and they do target construction companies nowadays because they know that construction companies have limited or minimal security layers, right? So it's easy for them. They don't have to really work hard to go and breach into your system, to hack into your system. Now, when I say hacker come and steal your data and all that, that's only one time. But when talk about cybersecurity or even information security for that matter, it is more than that. It is more than a hacker come and have an unauthorized access to your system, take control of your system, and ask for ransom. So that's just one of it. There are many other type of cyber risk that I would like to share with all of you. But before that, look at some recent construction cybersecurity data. Well, I couldn't find anything in local, anything in Malaysia, probably it is not reported. And that's the fact. Many companies that has actually faced security breaches, data stolen, fraudulent, and all that, not all those companies will actually go and make a police report. Hey, look, I've been hacked. I lost my data. They don't do that, right? Especially in Malaysia, we get very less corporate report on the hacking incident that they have faced. And majority of the company, even though they have certain cybersecurity incident in the company, they will actually manage or they will get an external party, like third-party vendor, because most of your IT system is actually outsourced. I'm very sure about it. Either you have a very minimal setup and you probably have some disruption and you call it as an incident and you have your internal team to manage it. If you're a large scale of company, then you probably outsource your IT. You will have your own IT team, but at the same time, you also outsource your IT. Then if any disruption were to happen, any incident were to happen, then you have high dependency on that third party to come and give you the services and the support. So most of these cases are not reported to the authority. And if at all you have large scale of loss in terms of data, in terms of dollar reputation, then you want to recover, then you want to obtain some support from certain agency and authority, then you would probably escalate to them. Now, talking about those cyber attacks recently that had happened in other countries, like in 2020, French contractor Bourgas fell victim to a ransomware attack. Ransomware attack, they shut down the system. They cut off some of their computer critical system. Then the ransomware, which is called the Maze, the gang actually claimed responsibilities for the attack and they actually asked for money. Now, the attack came just days after Maze struck Canadian contractor Bird with a similar attack. So if you look at this particular gang, the Maze ransomware gang, they does that to all the construction company. Probably they know the weaknesses that this construction company has. Now, if we look at another attack that had happened in the UK-based hospital construction company, BAM Construction, and they shut down some of their critical systems as well. And another one is the Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022, where the construction dive reported increased warning that Russian-led cyber attack were poised to targeted construction firms. And what is cybersecurity and how companies can actually protect themselves? So yeah, we've been hearing about, yes, that construction company has been hacked and the system has been locked and data has been stolen. So what is cybersecurity in actual fact, and how can we actually protect ourselves from this kind of attack? We know that cybersecurity is required to protect my data. How do I protect? The protection actually comes from a multiple layer. You have network layer, you have application layer, you have devices layer, and you want to protect an unauthorized access or criminal use. According to the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency, what they said as cybersecurity is for you to protect an unauthorized access at all these layers that we have spoken about, as well as the best practices that you need to ensure that your data confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the information is maintained at all times. Now, what is confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information? It is a triad of information security best practices as part of the information security management system. Every organization at a minimal level, you must have that. I'll be talking about it later in another slide. Well, moving on to ensuring that the construction company protect as possible from any type of cyber attack, it is critical for you to defend, to ensure the defenses that includes all cybersecurity elements from those layers that I've spoken about. Okay, you might want to tell me that, hey, look, my company is this size, small, medium. I don't have any application. I have some tools that I use, which I bought off the shelf. And my IT is very small. I have only one person. I don't have any data to be backed up. And some of the services I actually outsource. So what do I worry? You still need to worry, because that's where the problem is. We think our setup is small so that I don't have to worry about cybersecurity. But we also think that I don't have any critical application, so I don't have to worry. But the point here is, regardless of your size, of small size, or the medium size, or the large company, you still have data that you manage. Why do I have to worry so much of data? Now, you have been hearing a lot of hacking incident that has been happening in Malaysia. What is concerning us? That your data, your personal information being stolen, that has been happening. If I were to quote some of them, and if you go to Lawyat, you can actually find, and it came out in the media and all that. University, one of the local university, public university, their data leaked. 12,000 student data, including parents' data, also has leaked. So what happened? People can actually take that information, your personal information, your data, and misuse, so that those hackers can actually sell those data in a dark web, and people can buy your data. They can do anything with that data, right? So that concern must come to us. I give you an example. If you are living in a guarded housing area, residential area, and even if you were to go to any corporate building, the first thing first that you do is to give your IC or a driving license. To me, it doesn't make any difference. They still carry your personal data. I don't know, some people say, oh, just give me your driving license. No need to give IC. So anyway, it's a personal data that, this both cards actually carry. How do you protect? How do you know that your data that you're giving to the security guard is protected? How do we know that this information is not being shared? How do we know where they actually store the data? How do we know how securely they are managing the data? How do we know that they comply to PDPA? Nobody knows. And all we face today is scam, and we have only one person to play, is a telco company. Correct? Anything happen, if you receive a scammer call, we immediately say, this telco people, they sold my data. Right? So usually we will say that. But we need to understand that your data is everywhere. Now, one example I gave is the security company that manages our data. The other thing is, well, we love shopping, right? So what do? We love shopping, we love getting cards, we love collecting points. And there you go, you have Shell card, Petronas card, whatever this card, Tesco card, Giant card, Guardians, and tell me about it. All of them storing your data, keeping your data, right? So that data is very critical. Now that's from a personal data perspective. Similarly, for companies, the other sensitive data that you need to concern about is your drawings. I believe that you're an architect, you're an engineer, that you have intellectual property, your data, your drawings, your designs, and that you use your AutoCAD or whatever tools that you store in the computer, all those sensitive information, that's your IP. What if that being stolen? That's one. The other important data that very sensitive is your client data. Another information is your vendor agreement. You have a lot of confidential information inside. See, your documents are also, this digital document that you're actually storing are also a critical sensitive information that you need to protect. That's where we are talking about the information security triad, that the confidentiality, meaning to say, physically and logically, you need to ensure that they are protected. Then the integrity, no one attempted to modify that information. Then availability. At any point of a time, you need those information, it has to be accessible, right? And imagine if you have a ransomware attack where your system has been locked and you cannot access to your system, your informations, then you are in a big trouble, right? So all this will actually impact your project deliverable. Now, construction company will also may have, I'm not sure if any participant would like to discuss about it later, we can do so. If you are regulated in terms of data protection, I'm not talking about your regulation in terms of physical security. I believe that you already have a good one and an appropriate one. But when it comes to the regulation of information security or the data security, is something that you may have a limit and there is no proper guidance. But one thing, if you are a public listed company, then Bursa already have a guideline for that. Then the Security Commission also have a guideline for that. So you need to go and refer back to that guideline, what actually they say about your information security, okay? Now, we talk about the level of security, okay? Sorry, Irfa, are you there?
Yes, yes, doctor.
Okay,
I'm
I'm
here.
having, I'm so sorry. I think I have some problem with my presentation
Sure.
slide here. It's not moving. Do you mind to just give me a minute? I just have to close this slide and open it back. Do you mind? I do
Okay,
that?
okay, okay, okay.
Just a quick one, yeah?
Okay.
Sorry about that. I'm back, Irfa. Thank you. Right. Are you able to see the slide?
Okay, yes, I can see.
All right, great. So we actually understand the data that need to be protected, and we want to ensure that the information security triad is being applied in the company, and that would actually help you to protect your data from a confidential perspective and also integrity and availability. Now, we talk about the regulation that if you're a Berhad company, then you already have a guideline issued by Bursa as well as Security Commission. You may want to take a look at it as well. Now, the type of cyber threat that all of us are concerned is few that I would like to share with you. The hostile nation state, where the National Cyber Warfare Program that people actually paid for it. Yeah, you'll be surprised that cyber war is something that happening, and especially those emerging cyber threats from from a different perspective, that is propaganda, or they bring down your website, website, you call it a web defacement, espionage. You don't know that someone is spying you and collect your data and go and sell it to other people. And also they they plan certain level of disruption that could actually impact your infrastructure. And there are also some sponsored program that is increasingly sophisticated. And those are the program actually poses a very advanced level of threats. Now, you also have this terrorist group that would actually plan for cyber attack. And these terrorists, we call them a cyber terrorists. This is the group that actually plan, and they have a more sophisticated type of attack that they will launch, and they are less developed in cyber attack, and they have lower propensity to pursue cyber means at a national level, at a country to country level. Yeah, that's one terrorist group. And then we also have like corporate espionage. I mentioned about corporate spies, that it is actually an organized crime. So this organized crime, what happened is they actually spy in your department. I give an example. If you have a company and you think that in a very common practice, we get these people to come and do, you have cleaning services that is being appointed, third party. And usually they will be in a blue uniform, and someone you see suddenly coming in with a different look, and then you thought it's a new person coming, replacing the old employee. And these people are planted by some corporate spies, where they come in to collect your information. How do they collect? Probably they don't even have to bring devices to snap some pictures and all that, but typically they used to do the, we call them dumpster diving. It's very interesting that they go and collect your papers, trash that you have actually thrown, right? These are all the profit-based activity. They want to collect this information, they go and, you know, they look into those information and see how they can make use to their benefit. And of course, you have hacktivists as well. Hackers, I've just explained, those are the malicious intruders that could take advantage, and then they could actually take over your system or delete your information or even lock your system. Yeah. And the research also say that most of the attack happens internally. It's due to the disgruntled insiders, 80% of it. And some of those insiders, like your ex-employee or your internal people, the vendors who come to your office, they want to take some, you know, informations and collect your data, and, you know, they want to steal the data and like that, you know. So these are the people that we need to be worried about. But what kind of control that we can actually have? I'll explain to you later in the other slide. Then the other type of cyber threats would also in relation to natural disaster, like you have a lightning strike and you wipe off your system. And if you were to have earthquake and you know, your building collapse and you have lost your data, or fire even for that matter. So these are the accidental action by a fire is actually a combination of natural and man-made. But there's the other one, which is called the accidental action of authorized user. I am authorized to have an access to your system. Let's say if I'm your architect or even your engineer, and I were using it, and then I'm supposed to save it, store it, or whatever, but I accidentally delete it. Or I supposed to send to Mr. A confidential document via email, I sent to Mr. B, right? Then also happen, yeah? And then for some of the communication, instead of talking to this person, you have actually spoken to the other person and accidentally. So all this accidental action also can be a cyber threat to your organization. Now, the other type of digital threats, or even it's called cyber threats, a phishing attack, very common, that you probably have faced, receiving some emails that you're getting it from a bank asking you to update your data, asking you to update your account information, or even the phishing attack would actually send, if it is corporate email, then they send you, oh, we have this corporate event coming. Here's the invitation. I would like you to register for the event. Or sometime you also have received an email over at night, and the next morning you come and open your PC, then it says, oh, your account has been, your financial report is ready for your view. Thank you for choosing us. Here's the report for your action. So you thought it's your accountant is sending, and some people who they think that it could be a legitimate event email, and you open it, clicked it, and you open it. Yeah. So they probably have sent you a Trojan or some sort of malicious software that could actually go and modify your system, and it could actually do something to your system. And there is ransomware. There are a few types of ransomware. One of it, the Maze Gang, which I mentioned earlier. There is also WannaCry. Then there is also Locker, Scareware. There are many type of ransomware, where they will actually execute the cyber criminal, they will execute an attack. They encrypt your system. They'll actually lock your system and prevent you from accessing to your own system. So that's ransomware. Now, if you were to decrypt the system and get an access to your documents, your data, then they'll ask you to pay some money. So that's very common happening in Malaysia. Computer virus, by opening an email, visiting some infected website. Some control that certain company actually does is they have limited their access to certain website. They don't even allow you to have social media access type of thing. And then because we are not sure, when you Google something, you're not sure whether it's a legitimate website, and it is well, probably it is not an infected website, or by downloading certain things. If you have an antivirus in your laptop, then it actually alerts you not to do that. Yeah. So that is about computer virus and malware, things like Trojan, worms, and adwares. Yeah. Now, as a construction industry, as a company that I manage all this data, informations, and these are very critical for my business. What is the vulnerabilities that I am actually looking at, and how do I actually mitigate the risk? Now, it is very unique, vulnerable in your perspective that your endpoint are often more exposed due to the nature of your business, because sometimes we think that, like I mentioned, my company is a small company, medium size of company, that I don't have to worry about data, about cyber attack. But some of the temporary construction site location and workers that you have at the field, they are even more exposed to risk, because they have their mobile, they have their iPad that they work and transfer information, and they are connected. Or probably they have the Wi-Fi set up that they go to the cafe and they actually connect to the Wi-Fi and do some sending and receiving emails and all that. So these are some of the vulnerabilities that your industry actually can face. And you also have the need to share information, like you share information to your subcontractors, like I mentioned earlier. You have this design available. And then one more thing that I see commonly happen, I had an opportunity to deliver a project construction. I had an opportunity to deal with certain architect and the contractors. To my surprise, they were transacting documents through WhatsApp. Seriously. And that had happened. No, because WhatsApp instant, it's easy, because I have my mobile in my hand, and I send many of the people actually transfer file via WhatsApp. Only good thing I do is PDF it. And then you think PDF cannot be amended? It's easy, right? So a lot of documents are being sent via WhatsApp. So these are vulnerabilities. And your site manager, say, for example, he have an access to the network via mobile phone. And if anything were to happen, let's say I lost the phone and I'm your site manager. And in my phone, like I mentioned, I have all this document being stored. So imagine what would have happened. So when we talk about this privacy, security, managing the incident, and the layer of protection for those vulnerabilities, what are we talking about? We are looking at layers of network security, information security, your end user behavior, and your infrastructure security. Now, you need to protect your data from unauthorized user via an organization computer network. You must have your firewall, your email security, your antivirus, and your DLP for certain extent. Some of those small companies, they don't invest on DLP, right? But you can, again, put certain policy in place to prevent data loss. And how do you do that? Is through your end user behavior. Your end user behavior is usually your employee, your vendors, your contractors. They need to be educated. How do you educate them? They need to be trained. They need to be given the awareness, like, for example, like you guys are attending today. So I'm generally speaking about cyber information security, how do you protect and all that. But in actual cybersecurity, awareness to your employee comes in a different context. So you need to conduct this training by educating them on the information security policy that you develop in the company. If you do not have one, you need to have one, right? I'm going to teach you how to do that. Now, that's where your information security policy comes in, that to ensure that you protect your critical information from any sort of disruption, and alteration. Then the infrastructure security, where you need to protect your critical information from any sort of corruption, sabotage, or terrorism, cyber terrorism, yeah. And then your network infrastructure, your data center protection, and if you are actually outsourcing your IT. Now, number one important method that you have to take it immediately is to go and access or ask your IT service provider to give you their security policy, their latest security tests that they have done, and you need to audit them, right? Now, those are the layers of security that you need to look into. Number one is your network, number two, infra, then your information security and end user behavior. End user behavior is very important. Just imagine one of your employee actually found a thumb drive somewhere, and they think it's something that they would like to experience to see what is it inside of the thumb drive, and they go and plug it into the laptop, and then it comes with, I don't know, Trojan or worms, and they go in, erase your file, alter your file, or store your file. No, they could do anything. And some of those malicious software, they could actually being infected into the system, and they start copying and then transferring the file out. Yeah, so that also could happen. Now, how do we actually protect this? I spoke about vulnerabilities. Now I'm going to talk about the mitigation action. Mitigation action comes from a cyber risk assessment. What do I assess? What do I need to do when you talk about cybersecurity risk assessment? You need to look into 4 elements of risk assessment. From the people perspective, remember I mentioned about your end user information. Information, what are the information that you have? Where do you store it? Who have access? Who has the control? Who can modify all those information? Then technology. If I have my firewall, if I have my antivirus, and if I have my backup and all that kind of a thing that you have to ensure. And then you have processes. What kind of processes we're talking about as part of the access control, data leakage prevention, and I have my PDPA processes, and I also have physical. Say, for example, if you have an employee who enter into a job and after a couple of years that you have given them a laptop, they have access, they have stored your document, they have been engaging with your documents or sensitive information, and they probably keeping it somewhere, maybe at home. Now, when you do employee, if that particular employee resign and you have employee discharge, then that process of physical security discharge has to be implemented as well. So question is, what would happen if you no longer had access to those information, those important informations, or you no longer had control over them? Just imagine that tomorrow when you come to office and you want to continue your greenfield project and all the project document in your laptop has been locked. What would you do? Right? So, and this is very unique approach for construction. And as you grow along with extensive digital workflow, where you have your design stage, you have your construction stage. This is my understanding, my experience that while I was working with a construction company for a large project in Malaysia the past 2 years. So this is what I actually experienced, that you have your design stage, your construction stage, and then you have your handover stage. When all these stages are happening simultaneously, you are embarking into an extensive digital workflow. So what does it mean to your company? You have an in and out of critical information in this project, in this company, as part of the project. You need to track and store all those electronic and paper-based documents, correct? You have your design paper, you have architecture paper, and you have a lot of track and story, all these documents. And you need to ensure that the control access is being given to only specific people. If I want item A, B, C to be accessed by my manager, then my manager can only access to A, B, C. If I have my CEO who can access to A to Z, then I give him access to A to Z. So there's a lot of control that you need to put into in terms of accessing to those information, sensitive information. On the other hand, you also need to maintain a golden thread of information quality and up-to-date information. Remember, I spoke about integrity, the asset life cycle. Because the data life cycle, you have a fresh data, you need to, as part of the regulation, you need to keep the data for 7 years. When you want to keep the data for 7 years, where do you store it? How securely you are keeping it? How are you going to monitor? How you ensure that nobody has an access to those sensitive data? Right? So that kind of golden thread of action that you need to have in place. Now, how do you keep record of what has been shared, when has been shared, to whom it was shared of those information? Who has that information? Yeah. And how do you communicate your cybersecurity requirements to your employee? That's why I spoke about your education, your training, your continuous education to your team members, to your staff. Well, you're probably an engineer, you're probably a senior manager who have attended the course of this webinar session today. Well and done. But how do you convey the message back? How do you educate them? How do you increase the cyber aware of the people in your company? Right? So we got to look into that part as well. While you are ensuring all the cyber risks, which I mentioned earlier, you need to also consider of these 4 domains that you need to practice in your organization. This is a very good corporate governance strategy. Number 1, ladies and gentlemen, when you go back to your table, to your company later, you're there. First of all, look at what are the controls that you have. Do a gap assessment. Number 2, do a risk assessment and an impact analysis. What does it mean? I mentioned about cyber risk assessment. Cyber risk assessment, you need to cover information security, information, which is data, people, technology. Now you take those information that will be an output of the risk assessment analysis. My data is being stolen. What is this impact to my business? How long can I last a disruption without having an access to my system? What would be an impact to the company reputation or even financial impact? Yeah. So you got to do that business impact analysis. Once you have done that, then you need to have this vulnerability assessment and red teaming. Now, large company, they will have that. If it's a small company, you may want to outsource this little task to an external party to come and do a vulnerability assessment, provided you have a system. But if you have an outsourced company who is actually managing your system, then make sure you audit your IT service provider. Ask them when was the last vulnerability assessment test that they have done, and ask for the report. And you want to ensure that they comply to that as well. Now goes back to the third domain as part of increasing the cyber awareness to all the employees. Don't forget, it's not only the employee that I want to train. That goes to your C-suite as well. Shared responsibilities. I'll talk about it later. And also your vendors. And how do you manage your security incident? If anything were to happen, who do I contact? Who will be the first level support? Who will be the second level support? If I cannot fix the problem, how do I escalate to my vendor? So that is about incident management. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to almost the end, but this is very important information that I would like to share. Shared responsibilities of cybersecurity. I mentioned that when you talk about cybersecurity awareness, not only to your employee, you need to create the awareness, you need to also give this awareness to your CFO, to your CEO, to your CSO, to your CDO, and whoever it is, because they are also responsible in ensuring the data protection, number 1. Number 2, please bear in mind, security is not technical issue. Everybody will tell, I have this technical issue. I go and ask my IT, did you do something about it? IT, how are you going to fix it? IT, how long I have to wait? You need to remember that it is about business issue. Any downtime, an equation to dollar to your company. Any impact, any disruption, it is an impact to your business. It is an impact to your reputation, to your stakeholders. If they're not happy, let's say your system has, your company has faced data leakage. Now, that actually gives an impact to your stakeholder. Stakeholder will never have trust in you. right? So this is a business issue. Please have that in mind. Talk to your C-suite and make sure they understand the language of cybersecurity and they take responsibilities for every business decision. And cybersecurity is one of the business decisions. Some problem that we face is because our C-suite, they don't have the understanding, because they think I'm not a technical person. If I have my IT manager or IT director who come and talk to me on IT languages, I would not be able to understand. Hence, I think it's not important. I try to avoid, because I'm very uncertain in making that decision. And also I feel overwhelmed, so I better not talk about it. And I will try to avoid, tell my IT manager, you go ahead, you do something about it, you tell me later. And these are the incapable of addressing cybersecurity issues because they think it's not important. They think I don't have the understanding. They think that, it is something for the IT manager to take care of it. It's not my job. It's not for me to do anything about. Oh, you need investment? Then you give me a return of investment. Probably you want to do a cost benefit analysis and let me know how much do I have to invest? Why do I have to invest in cybersecurity? And what benefit does it give and all that? Yeah. So this is a common fear and uncertainty that the C-suite will have. As part of the cyber risk I mentioned just now, it goes back to all those areas which is very critical in ensuring that worry about threats like phishing or anything, any kind of attack. And that has to be based on cyber risk management. When you do your cyber risk management, it actually includes your financial risk, regulatory, technical, privacy, your vendor, third party. You have your service provider. When I mention about third party, don't always think, oh, third party, I outsource my IT to third party, so I ask this question to my third party vendor. No, not only that. You have other vendors that manages your information. So you are responsible to ensure that the third party also cares about protecting the data, right? And ensuring that supply chain risk is being managed appropriately. People risk, I mentioned earlier, when you do a risk assessment and impact analysis, all these elements you are required to pay attention and put in the book as well. Now, ladies and gentlemen, take this item, actionable step for construction industry that you need to take immediately to mitigate your cyber risk. You know that there are so many number of methods that you can actually use in your organization and you can leverage to limit exposure to cyber risk. And take this as part of it as well. And you must also understand that every industry are navigating cyber threats. So construction industry is no exception. You have to be part of it. You need to take care of it as well. I was told yesterday in one of the meetings that the medical industry is the third largest industry that faces cyber attack. Construction company not far. I don't have the statistic, but I can find out for you. Develop the risk mitigation strategy that you can review for applicability of your organization and make sure that responsibility is taken care. Now, what is the first thing you have to do? I did mention you can go and do a gap assessment, but here you go, the actionable item. First of all, form a team. And who's supposed to be in the team? Your IT department, if you have risk department, if you have governance, if you have corporate, if you have HR. HR is very important as well in ensuring that the employee cyber risk is taken care of. In sharing information, confidentiality, of course, HR have to play a role as well. Then you need to develop the information security policy. If you already have one, time to review, time to update. And you already reviewed and update, time to enforce. How do you enforce? Your education awareness is part of the enforcement. How do you monitor? How do you put control? How do you audit? That need to be there. Now, if you have a plan, you need to look into incident management plan, disaster recovery plan, information security management plan. All these are very critical plan that you have to have it. Then you might be thinking, I'm a medium-sized company. Why do I have to do a lot of documentation? You can see us. We teach you how to do that. And contract with strong data security and privacy. Those IT companies as your service provider, they have strong data security and privacy provision. Your liability insurance. We all think that the insurance is only meant for physical incident, and HSE is responsible for that. But for cyber, for data, you also have cyber liability insurance. If you have huge amount of data, you have big data in your organization, and it's time for you to also get cyber insurance for that data. Putting controls in place, access control, monitoring controls, and all that. And then construction, cyber culture is something that you can actually develop by giving all this importance and prioritization in your company in ensuring that cyber risk is taken care and you have mitigation plan in action, right? So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I will close my session. We'll open for discussion or any question later after the second speaker. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Kavita, on your amazing presentation. And then for your information, you can leave the question in the chat box on your right side. And we continue with the next presenter, second presenter for webinar today is Surveyor GS Muhammad Izwan Abdullah from Services Technology Solutions Sdn Bhd. Actually, Surveyor GS Muhammad Izwan Abdullah has been involved in the geospatial and geomatic profession since 2008. He has been a professional member of the Royal Institution of Surveyors Malaysia RISM and the Institution of Geospatial and Remote Sensing Malaysia IGRSM. He began his career as a hydrographic surveyor at Inai Kiara Sdn Bhd in 2007. Then expands his career to serve other companies as a geospatial specialist, such as Integrated Geospatial Solutions Sdn Bhd, Tanjung Petrol Consult MMC Engineering Sdn Bhd, Senai Airport Sdn Bhd, and Pembetulan Lahat Sdn Bhd. He also has experience in infrastructure projects such as the Pengerang Cogeneration Power Plant, the Petroleum Maritime Terminal Project, the Senai Airport City Project, and the Langat Sewerage Centralization Project. He was also involved in innovation projects in the implementation of the airport standard for all airports in Malaysia. Recently, he actively worked and contributed in smart city development phase. Until recently, he has served more than 15 years in various industries, focusing on the geospatial and geomatic field as a solution provider. He has provided leadership and a strategic mind to the team, especially in technical and solution architecture. So, you can start your presentation. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Thanks, Doctor, for the introduction. And thanks to Dr. Kavita also for the very informative presentation today. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera and very good morning to all the attendees for this webinar. Okay. I will start my presentation. Do you want to see my presentation?
Okay, can. You can see.
Boleh nampak ke presentation saya?
Boleh. Okay, boleh? Okay, dah usahakan dah.
Right. Okay. Okay. My topics I've been given the topics getting started with drones, technology and construction. Okay, we have a section to drones, unmanned aerial vehicle. In this agenda, first agenda, we will discuss about drone definition, type of drone main components, type of sensor and payload. And the second agenda is about drone data acquisition concept, photogrammetry, LiDAR and surveillance. And the agenda number 3, we will discuss about the ground control point for the precise data acquisition by using drones. And for the agenda number 4, we will discuss about the drones and UAV data acquisition on the general methodologies and data acquisition. And lastly, for agenda number 5 is advantages of using drones in construction for the decision making and planning. Okay, we go to agenda number 1, introduction to drones and unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV. Okay, what is drone? Drone definition as an aircraft operated without the human pilot on board, and can be flown by using remote control manually by the pilot on the ground, or even fly autonomously by using the pre-programmed flight. It's also known as the remote pilot aircraft (RPA), unmanned vehicle system (UVS), and unmanned aircraft system (UAS, and also remotely operated aircraft (ROA). But in the public, mostly none of this platform as a drone. Yeah. Okay, drones can be divided into the three classes, which is the first classes, which is known the multi-rotor drones. I think this drone is everyone familiar. It's use the concept of helicopter. We use the vertical takeoff and vertical landing, and it's also divided into the three classes, which is known as a quadcopter. This very famous one, the DJI Phantom 2 and Phantom 4, and then hexacopter, which is consists of 6 rotors, and octocopter consists of 8 rotors. And the second class is known as a fixed wing drones, which is the same concept of the normal aircraft, and use mostly of the drones for the commercial and the publics. We use the propeller. Sometimes it's at the front of drones, and sometimes at the back of the drone. And then the most latest one is VTOL fixed wing drone. It's a combination of multi-rotors and the fixed wing drone, which is can be used it can be easy mobilized and easy to to landing and take off. And also this type of drone is a very high performance drones, and it can be using as a long endurance drones. And then what is the main component inside the drone? Inside the drone, we can inside the drone only have the navigation chips and the firmware for the automatic navigation, and for surely for the location, it has a GPS device, and for the communication between the drones and the remote control, it has the radio telemetry system. And then for the data capturing, we occupy it with multiple sensors. Sometimes we using the digital camera, sometimes we using the thermal camera, sometimes we using the multispectral camera. It depends on the drone's application and the project size requirements. And the standard, what is the standard drone system? The standard drone system, must consist of the drone itself, and the radio, the remote control, which is linkage with the telemetric radio signal. And then the third one is we must have the platform to monitor the drones and the data capturing process, and the data and the flight status and so on. And then for the advanced drones platform, we also have the other device like second base for the GPS observation system, which is that can provide the auto correction real time to the drones to acquire the high accuracy level of the data collection. And then what is the sensor, the payloads normally we equip with the drone for the data capturing, especially for the mapping or the structural monitoring and so on. It's many types of sensor that we can equip with the drone. One is the very famous one is a digital camera. It's also a drone known as the RGB camera, which is known as the normal camera, which is can capture data with the visual light. Yeah, and then we use the digital camera for the multiple zoom, and then multispectral camera for the agriculture monitoring, and hyperspectral camera, which is also involved in agriculture and geologists. And then the most popular one is LiDAR sensor. Okay, why we need to use drone in the construction? Because the drone can access to the difficult terrain and the other benefit is the drone data collection is 90% faster than manual method. Let's say if you want to map, let's say you have the one project about 27 kilometer road to plan or to road upgrading, and then is when you can imagine how to survey for that site, and then I think it's better using drone is the most efficient data collection, because if you're using drone, the data capturing will be more easier and more faster than the normal survey. And then the drone also can provide some better information. It can make our data more valuable for decision making and planning. And also the data from the drone can provide the prediction and data analysis for asset productivity, especially for the asset monitoring, for telecommunication asset monitoring, for the building asset monitoring. And then it also improve the safety for the workers without going to the site to make a data capturing. We just use a remote we just use a remote drones to remotely instruct the drones to go to the mapping. And then it's also the cost saving, because the process of data capturing is more easier and more faster than using the manual methods. And we go to agenda number 2, is about say drone data acquisition concept. In the normal practice, most of the drone is using RGB camera, is using the photogrammetry method, which is use the multiple aerial data capturing and then processes teaching with the software, whether the desktop software or the cloud software. And the sensor normally using for this type of concept is RGB sensors, digital camera, and thermal sensors, multispectral sensors, and hyperspectral sensors. And the second concept is using LiDAR. This sensor is basically using a laser pulse to measure or to scan the area of mapping. And the purpose of using these sensors is basically for the high accuracy generation for the DEM, DTM, and DSM, and also for the structural screening and monitoring. And then for the concepts number 4, by using drones, is for the surveillance. For the surveillance, basically is using the visual scanning for the structure of the object, or some sort of construction site, the building. Basically is using the RGB sensors and thermal sensors, and also the SLR camera. Basically, the application for this concept is to inspection, to let's say to check gas leak for the pipeline, and also to assess the structural edging. And agenda number 3, ground control point for precise data acquisition. Okay, what is the ground control point? Ground control point, which is the method of we integrated the actual positioning on the ground to the image data that we have captured. Basically, for the observation on the ground, we use the GPS equipment, and we observe the GPS data at the point, and then we process the we make a data acquisition by using drone, and then we process the data, and we stitching together with the GCP data. Normally, by the purpose of using GCP is to enhance our measurement of data measurement, to generate the precise or more accurate digital elevation model, DEMs, and DSM production, and also for verification of the 3D point cloud generation. This is a sample of GCP that can be used on site. It's can be made something like this, and it's something it can be a pane on the ground, and it can be a RTK platform that uses the cloud-based system, something like this. And then this is a sample for distribution of the GCP on site. And then we go to agenda number 4 about the drones and UAV data acquisition. The general methodologies for the drone data acquisition is first, we must to identify the use case for the project. Sometimes the projects don't need, let's say, just for simple mapping or general mapping for the prelim mapping. We don't need GCP, and then we must have a better understanding of the site requirement. Sometimes we just use the RGB sensors, sometimes we just use the LiDAR sensors, and sometimes we need to use the long endurance drones for the site that have maybe 1,000 hectares, yeah. And then for the flight planning, we must understand the local authorities and the local requirement, such as we need to apply permit from the local authority first, and then apply permit from the CIM. And then for the identify suitable navigation software and processing software, we must understand our mapping. Whether we use the visual loss, whether we use we need to use the line of sight mapping, or we use the beyond visual line of sight mapping. And then for the output and generation of production based on subject matter, the output from the drone data capturing, we must understand whether it is output for the inspection, mapping, analysis, or data format for the integration platform. This is a sample to identify the use case. Yeah. If we use, we need to do just a simple aerial mapping. Let's say we just need to know what the spatial distribution on the site. We use the aerial mapping, and for the site inspection, maybe we can use thermal with the multi-rotors, and the progress monitoring, we just use the DJI Phantom for the RGB camera, and for the structural modeling, maybe the project requirement needs to use the LiDAR sensors and the multi-rotors. Yeah, this is important to understand our project site requirement. And understand the regulation. Firstly, this is the standard requirement for Malaysian. Every drone pilot must have the remote pilot license, RCOCB, if I'm not mistaken. And then you must register your drones to the CAM or JUPEM. And then it is surely you can, acquire some insurance for your drone if you worried about to lose your drones when you execute the mapping. And then the drone pilot must aware the safety of execution of the mapping. Yeah. Let's say such as don't fly above cemetery base, don't fly above the major roads, don't fly above 400 feet. This is the standard safety requirement that needs to be considered before we execute the drone mapping. And before you execute the drones mapping, first you must plan your flight paths for the site area. Maybe something simple like this. The flight plan, flight route, which is covers your site area by navigational software. You can use a navigation software such as a drone deploy, map pilot, or mission planner, P4D capture, and any other software in the market. And when you capture the data, it can be provided. The data can be converted or generated to the multi source of multi type of data, such as you can generate it as a DSM, you can generate it as a autophoto. Maybe you can just have a better visual for the inspection. And some of the data we can integrate it with the other system. Let's say this thermal imaging to maybe you want to evaluate the ground condition for the hotspot area. You can see to assess the moisture content of the water. You can have a better, decision making for the planning before the construction. And then the data also can be integrated with the other construction software in markets. It's multiple software that can you integrated on the market. Let's say the Recap Pro, Autodesk system, and then you can integrate with GIS platform. You can have the 3D model, and you can generate it as the data for the reality modeling. You also can generate to the plan structure from the data that you have captured based on sensor that it's depend on the sensor that you have when you do the data capturing. Not all sensors can you can have not all sensor you can generate the output something like this. Sometimes it is very difficult to decide whether you want to use the LiDAR or you want to use the RGB camera. You must understand first the requirement, the accuracy, and the method of data capturing. Not easy. Let's say you just decide to use DJI Phantom. DJI Phantom doesn't have the capable to produce to generate the data something like this. And then it is important to train your team to ensure everyone understand the regulation and for the safe flying practices and data capture procedures that I mentioned earlier. Before you choose the platform of the drones, the sensor, you must understand the project requirement, the data requirement, and what you want to expect to the analyst, what you expect to analyze, and the output of your project site. And it is recommended that you establish the standard operating procedure within your team. Let's say for the cover pre-flight check before you go to site. All the requirements have been loaded to the to your vehicle and flight protocols and the emergency procedures data storage, and you must consider data storage. Sometimes data storage is very big, especially for the LiDAR data capturing. And then it is recommended that for using drones, you start small first. Let's say you have one building to evaluate, or one building to, to check the progress, your construction progress. It is recommended to start small first before you go to large scale area, because the most important thing, you must identify the constraint that you have when you using drones for the data capturing. And it is important to aware the technology update, because from time to time the drone technology will go highest, and then the data capturing, the sensors, the process, the software, you must aware of this. And then we go to agenda number 5, advantages of using drone in the construction. Yeah, this is a common topic, area mapping. Everyone knows, yeah, using drones can do the area mapping to create detailed topographic maps, 3D models, point clouds, and provide valuable information for the project planning, design, and analysis. But that I said previously, not all drones by use the one methods concept, such as use of photography, can produce the better 3D model and point clouds. That's something you need to consider to using LiDAR or other sensors. And also, drone data also can be actually can be integrated with the ground surveying data. Let's say use the laser scanning. It's be integrated together to have a better picture of your site or better picture of the structural modeling. And for sure, the drone is improve the safety for the worker without anyone to go to access to the site area. And it is easy to monitor project progress monitoring and documentation, which is when we have drone data capturing, we have the proper data, we have the proper information to assess the progress of the project. And we can integrate it together the information to the drone data with others platform such as the digital twins. And from the drone data, we can enhance the communication and collaboration between the contractors, subcontractors, and the other parties, because the data is accessible and the data is digitalized and on the system. Everyone can be access the data. It is also cost and time saving, because yeah, you're using drones. It's the fast data capturing, large data capturing, and especially for the planning, for the proposal, a project proposal, yeah, it's recommended to using drone for the first to have the bigger picture, to early picture of the project site. Yeah, you fly a drone for your site, and then download the data and make some planning and access the data, enhance the data, and after that, when you have the design concept, then you go to the deeper surveying team, which is you appoint land surveyor to go only to the spot area inside your project site. Yeah, for sure. When you have a drone data, it can be the reliable resource management, because you have all data inside your database. you can do anything with your data. If you data have a lack of information, it's not all for your site area. It's only the spot area. Maybe you can point that I say means visually. You can appoint some third-party land surveyor to go to further mapping on the area. And also for the monitoring and inspection, especially in the asset monitoring, the drones data can be integrated together with your inventory database system to monitor and predict the aging of the structure. Let's say if you have some sort as the telco towers, you can inspect, maps all the towers components and develop the database for the component for the inventories. After that, you have actual date of data capturing, and after a few years, you can have the percentage of the aging percent in your database for alert. And it is for the environmental monitoring. This is quite a good device to have a better picture environmental assessment. Yeah. Let's say you have the drones data, something like this, the point cloud on the left side. You can migrate it or generate it into the vector data based on the right side image. And the data becomes the most valuable for the planning. Let I mentioned previously, the drones data can be integrated with other platform, such as construction platform. I would like to introduce one of the platform is Terrabina in the market. Yeah, this is the cloud-based platform for the construction progress monitoring. Yeah, Terrabina is the complete solution for the construction, from the drones mission planning, data acquisition, data processing, data analytics, and report deliverable. With the Terrabina, you just have a drone data capturing, and then you upload to the Terrabina, and the process inside Terrabina will be automatically will provide all the information. You don't need to process. You do not need to have your own desktop workstation, and then understand the process of the drones data, and you make your own analytics, and make your own reports. You don't need to do that. Let the Terrabina do it for you. Terrabina is basically is the cloud platform data. Is about it's first, yeah, you have the data, geospatial data, and upload to the Terrabina, and Terrabina will analyze the data, and then it's part, the servers, and it can be integrated with the ground monitoring sensors also for your monitoring purposes. This is a sample of the Terrabina platform. From the pre-construction, you have the automosaics, you have the contour, you have the digital elevation model, and environmental impact assessment you can do inside the Terrabina. And then we have also the progress monitoring for the construction site, time-lapse progress report. You can have the engineering drawing layout. You can have also the asset management, and also for the volumetric data analytics. And also, Terabina can provide the post-construction report, such as the structural analysis and report, root inspection, and also the most latest one is BIM. This is a sample on the Terabina platform. You have the data uploaded to Terabina, and it can be generates the 3D model and used for the analysis. You have the severity level here, which is green, blue, and yellow. The severity level status. You can also have the inventory inside the Terabina, which is integrated with all the information, drone information together with all inventories. Also, with Terabina, we can provide the modeling, 3D modeling and 3D reality modeling from Terabina. You can also provide the 2D drawing. Okay, it comes to conclusion. Very fast. Okay, as I conclude, when using the drones, we can use the surveillance. It can be the surveillance. It can be the output for the aerial view, oblique photo, aerial photo, thermal imaging, UV lidar, multispectral sensor, and it's also for the monitoring and inspection. For the pipeline routes, power lines route, roadway, railways, steel structure of plant, television tower building, solar farm monitoring, and tree canopy assessment, and also the drones can provide the data for the 3D spatial modeling and analysis for the flood mapping analysis, telecommunication and transmission line, water catchment, water distribution and pipeline, construction and structural modeling, and also for the GIS mapping and solution for land use and asset management system and analysis or assessment. I think that's all from me. Just a simple presentation. I pass back to the moderator, Doctor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Surveyor GS Muhammad Izwan Abdullah, on your great presentation today about the drone. And so next, we proceed with the question and answer session. And then, okay. So I would like to invite Dr. Kavita and Surveyor GS Muhammad Izwan to join the question and answer session. Okay, first question from the chat box ni. So kita boleh tengok kat sini. First question is, do institution, organisation in Malaysia also prone to business email compromise BEC? Maybe Dr. Kavita, you can answer this question.
Business email compromise. Do institutions, organization in Malaysia also oh yes, your email can also be an easy target for the perpetrator, because how do they do that? They actually do through a phishing attack. They will send you a link, and which you think that link is a legitimate link, and then they can actually infect it with certain malicious malware to take control of your communication as well. So yes, business email can easily be compromised, but again, email security, it is also need to be tested. If you are outsourcing the services, please get your service provider to advise you what are the security measurements that they have taken to ensure that the communication, email communication, is protected.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kavita, on your answer. Second question is about for Surveyor Izwan. What are the specific benefit of using drones in construction? I mean, the benefit of using drones in construction. So the benefit of using drones. What do you mean?
The benefits of using drone in construction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Its first, its time is about the data that you have when you using drones. You just go for the once session of data capturing, and we can have the multiple type of data that we can generate from the drones data. Let's say if you have one project, you propose one project for the building, you must to access the site project. I think for the first time, you just send your drones to maps the area, and then you extract the data, and then you generate the data for the contour, for the spatial distribution data, and also for the the data that you can provide to the local authority for the EIA requirement, something like that.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Izwan, so you mentioned the drone have varieties of drone, and then we need to choose the right drone, right? And then what the different type of drone available in construction?
Okay, in construction side, normally we have used two type of drone. For the last area data capturing, we use the VTOL types. For because it's long endurance and high performance data capturing. The advantages of the VTOL, we can equip it with the RGB sensors and LiDAR sensor, which is these two sensors is popular use in construction. For the RGB sensor, for the general assessment of the site, and the LiDAR sensor is more detailed for the structural modeling, for the for the actual design of the construction. We use the LiDAR sensors.
Okay, thank you, Surveyor Izwan. Okay, next, Dr. Kavita. What are the risks of cybersecurity in construction industry, on your opinion?
Okay, we have different type of cyber risks that we can actually foresee in construction industry, particularly from your physical security and your logical security. And it actually comes from the network access. So your network security will be part of it. And if you already have some tools that you are using it, and then those are the tools will actually need to be taken care as well. You need to do an assessment whether the tool is just a tool, but any software that you actually download to do your work, that need to be also assessed. And if you have an IT department, they would know how to do this vulnerability assessment. Then fraudulent. Fraudulent is another type of security that you need to, cyber threat that you need to be concerned about, because there are people who can actually take your document, they manipulate, they can actually modify the informations for their own benefits. And those are the things that can be sold for their benefits as well, for money purpose. Or if they want to sabotage the company, then fraudulent also sabotage the company, then they can actually manipulate data, erase your files, erase your data. Those kind of a thing can happen as well. These are the disgruntled employees that usually will commit such action, yeah. And then fraudulent, you need to also have physical security policy in place to ensure that fraudulent is also prevented. The other thing is the data theft. Data theft, like I mentioned, can happen in many ways. All right, if you talk about data leakages internally, it can happen intentionally, it can happen accidentally as well. So that data stolen, that means they can make use of the data to do anything else that they want. They can sell the data, or they can hold the data for ransom. Yeah, so ransomware attack is another cyber threat that it's actually the biggest risk for construction industry.
Okay, Dr. Kavita. Oh, I see. So, in your opinion, how can the company is small or medium-sized company, but IT is outsourced, and how to implement cybersecurity, especially in construction industry?
All right, although your IT is being outsourced, say you are a small medium organization and you think that your IT is not a big department in your organization. So you outsource most of the services to the service provider. But yet you must remember one thing, that logically they can manage, they can provide you the services, and they can assure you that the data is protected. They will do their network security assessment. They will do a pen test and all that. But internally, from your organization perspective, you have your employee that has an access to your documents. You have the people in and out. You have your architect, your engineers, your vendors, and all that. They also have an access to the documents that you are actually using it. You are actually keeping it in your laptop. You're keeping it in your your tab, and you're moving around, and you're connected, and you're transferring files and all that. So that is something that you need to have protocols, like security protocols at place, or I would say security policies that need to be enforced in your department. So you need to educate your people to tell them, look, these are the document that limited access. If you want to access to this confidential level of document, then macam dekat government, Doctor, if I may add on, we have a different level of security access to the document. Then because according to the criticality, according to the confidentiality level, maksudnya dia kata highly confidential, secret, remember? So that kind of category, so you should have that kind of category in the document that you utilize in your organization, and put control to the access to those documents. Do not leave documents on the table. We also have one more physical practice, which is clear desk practice. Clear desk practice is a practice that is very important as part of information security management, which means all the people, before they leave their office, they make sure that they don't leave any documents. But I think typically architects or engineers, they have a lot of drawings on their table. Yeah, they have a lot of scrolls on their tables. They have a lot of document printed and everything. So if you are implementing security management in your organization, which is a must now, right? There's no question about it, whether I'm small or medium, but you must put certain control of security in your organization. So this kind of leakages, this kind of fraudulent can be prevented.
Okay. See. Okay, thank you, Dr. Kavita. Okay, we have another question in chat box. Okay, for surveyor is one. Any drone sensor which can capture underground information like cavities, hard layer, or for foundation design?
Okay, for the current markets, I think we don't have yet, but we have one of sensor called magnetometers, but that sensors is still used for the geologists, not for the cavities, hard layer, or for foundation design. It's not not practically used for that kind of assessment. I think the most practical is still use the ground penetrating radar, which is we use for the underground utility mapping. Yeah, it's not practical to use that drones for the cavities, hard layer, and foundation design.
Okay. Thank you, surveyor is one. But what are the regulations governing the use of drones in construction?
Regulation for in construction, yeah. It depends on your construction site. First, it's bound by the local authority legal requirement. If you want to fly the drone, let's say you site somewhere in a DBKL area, you must apply the permit from DBKL, and then if your needs to fly above your compounds area, you need to apply the drone permit authorization from the Civil Aviation Department. If you say you just fly just around your compounds, maybe not the high-rise site, maybe for the just a treatment plant, I think you just request the permission from the local authority. Yeah, unless if you fly above 400 feet, yes, you need to apply the permit from the CAM. If you fly below than that, if I think just request the permission from the local authority.
Okay, thank you, thank you, Saudara Izwan. Okay, Dr. Kavita, as you said in your slide, there are 4 domains of information security for construction industry, which is security incident management, risk assessment and business impact analysis, security awareness and training, and also the vulnerability assessment tooling and red teaming. And then my question is, how to know in our company, in construction company, what the risk and what the step to protect my company, our company.
Okay. This is about the cyber risk because if you look at the 4 domain, right, Doctor, I did mention that you need to you are required to perform a cyber risk assessment. You are required to do an impact assessment. Now, how do I know what kind of risk am I exposed to and what are the risk appetite that I have in my organization and what are the probability and the likelihood? You can only identify that information when you perform a cyber risk assessment. Now, that risk assessment, you would actually look into few categories. First, you will look into if I am prone to any natural disaster, man-made disaster, technology-related disaster. Anytime, if you are talking about technology-related disaster, then you have malicious attack, you have phishing attack, you have email communication attack, you have mobile attack. Then you will list down the full list of technology-related cyber attack, website defacement, server breakdown, and network failure. Those are all the technology-related that could actually even impact your organization. But again, you must also understand the risk appetite. Yes, I can list down all the risks, but what is the appetite that I have? We need to say, can I absorb? Can I manage? Can I have a mitigation in place, mitigation plan? So you will do that assessment. Only then you would be able to understand what are the risks that I am exposed to. Is this one person's job? No, definitely no. Okay, everybody will say, hey, I tak ada risk assessor lah. I'm in the office. I don't have a risk management team. So who do I do? Can you outsource? Can. I'm very happy if you can outsource to me, Dr. Irfan. But most importantly, you must have your team member who can collaborate and come and discuss. Okay, I think this is our risk. Why you say risk? Because it might impact this operation, might impact my reputation, might impact my financial. Then you list down the risk, lepas tu you buat calculation lah, nak tengok dia punya appetite kan. So how likely it can happen, what is the probability it can do.
Okay. Boleh jumpa dengan Dr. Kavita lah.
Boleh.
Boleh outsource lah kan?
Boleh.
Okay, thank you Dr. Kavita. And then Surya Izwan, what are the best practice for using drone safely and effectively in construction industry?
Doctor, can you repeat again?
Pardon?
Can you repeat again?
Repeat. Okay. Maksudnya, what are the best practice for using drones safely and effectively? Maksudnya apa yang drone yang paling bagus, yang paling safely dan efektif yang kita boleh gunakan dalam construction?
Okay, actually for the construction, it's recommended to use the multi-rotor drones. I'm preferred to use just a quadcopter drones. It's enough to do the data capturing for the construction site. And yeah, for the safety, the quadcopter drones is provide efficiency for the safety lah, because it doesn't have the big drones. It just medium drones. And then for the payload also is about 1.2 kilogram, if I'm not mistaken. I think is fair enough to use in a construction. Rather than you use the big drones and you use multi-rotor drones like hexacopter is a big drones, and the payload is, I think, more than 2 kilos. How you can imagine if the drone failures, it can impact for safety. It can hazard. It can be a hazard for the construction site.
Okay, okay. Dan lagi satu, bagaimana macam kalau adakah pihak surveyor Izwan menyediakan macam training, tim training untuk menggunakan drone tersebut?
Yes, actually, our company in Techsnerv provide the training. We have other subsidiaries company called the Aeronerv Institute. Yes, we have. We provide the training for the drones, from the how to use the drones and how to have the license on the drones, and then how to process the data, how to generate the output. Yes, we have the institute for that kind of training.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you Surveyor Izwan. So kat sini kita ada tengok ada soalan di chatbot ditujukan kepada Dr. Kavita, iaitu apa komen doktor mengenai data collecting menggunakan drone dan diupload ke software and so on kerana data yang diambil adalah on real time base. Apa pendapat doktor?
The data collected through drone and then they actually store it in cloud. No, actually, what was the question again, doctor?
The question is that data collecting menggunakan drone dan diupload ke software kerana data yang diambil tu adalah on real time base.
A real time base, yes. Okay, so the question is how to protect the data, is it?
Yeah.
Okay,
how to protect the data, yeah.
You see, using drone to collect data is just one way, right? And you can actually collect data in many ways through different technology. The point here is, where do you store it? How securely do you store it? And it doesn't matter whether it's a real time or, because it's a real time, obviously it's a real time data, right? And then as time goes, eventually it become archive. So where do you actually store it? And who have an access to that data? And how do you actually protect that data? Question number one, yeah? Number two, why do you collect the data? We have so many data that being collected, like what Izwan actually mentioned, right? You capture that, you capture this, you capture that, all that pictures is being captured. And then all that has been processed into certain information that can be very sensitive. That is the reason, sorry Izwan, I nak pun nak tanya also here. Drone in certain industry, it's not legal. Correct? So drone in certain country at certain zone, it is not legal. So when we are talking about drone and you are capturing the data, obviously it is not legal. Because the question is about safety, about security. Why certain industry and certain, I'll give you one good example. I mentioned that one of the projects that I committed for the past 2 years, I have to work with a construction company to build the scanner machine at the ports. Now, my intention as a project manager is to use drone to capture all that happenings at the construction site. But the ports didn't allow me to do that because it's illegal. At the same time, Badan Beruniform, the government agency that we were doing the project, also didn't allow because there is no legislation that actually control. There is no regulation that actually control. Reason being, goes back to the data. What will happen to the data? How do I know that you don't misuse the data? How do I know that you are capturing that to sell the data for activist purposes, for a terrorist purposes, that goes beyond the boundary that we could actually imagine, right? So the use of drone from a technology advancement perspective, it is fantastic. But now the point here is whether we have the regulation, at the same time, it is how do we use, ada regulation tak Encik Izwan dekat Malaysia untuk drone usage? Belum ada lagi kan?
Belum ada lagi. Belum ada complete.
Correct. Because the question again, when you see our government is working on cyber law. Although we have many law perspective, multimedia communication, digital act and all that, but nobody actually, none of these laws would actually speak about drone. So the function of a drone is to capture information and to store, to process the information. So what is the usage of that information that we are capturing? For this industry, for construction, what I learned from Izwan tadi, it is good for me to monitor my construction. It is good for me to look into, I don't know, probably some development that is happening at the construction site. So there are many purposes. Again, that purpose need to be defined clearly and elaborated for that purpose only, right? And then if our government going to look into any regulation that could actually drive this for a proper usage and secure usage. So my answering the statement which I received from our audience, of course, it captures the data, and it is for you to understand the reason why you are collecting the data and what is the purpose of the data, how you want to make use of the data, how you want to keep the data, how long do you want to keep the data, who's going to access the data, and look into the life cycle of the data, and how do you sanitize the data if you think the life cycle is over. So this is very important, critical, and you should have a policy at place to control that.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kavita. Sebenarnya Surveyor Izwan, bagaimana, soalan saya adalah bagaimana untuk kita integrate drone data ni ke dalam construction management software?
Integration.
Integration.
Actually, drones data mostly the images for the RGB, and then for drone data, for LiDAR is one of the formats. This is called the raw formats. Raw formats can be converting or can be integrate, can be what do you call it? Migrate to other software. In GIS software, actually GIS software provide the total, not total, the all data migration from the drones source of data. It can be migrates to other other format of data that can be integrated in the BIM, BIM, Building Information Management. It can be integrated with GIS also, and then it also can be integrated with other platform for the analysis and planning purposes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Surveyor Izwan. Then, question. Okay, Surveyor Izwan, and then so what the the best drone yang boleh digunakan dalam construction, adakah, and then satu lagi, adakah drone yang digunakan tu mempunyai safety guidelines untuk digunakan dalam construction? Adakah dia ada specific safety guidelines?
Drones dalam construction.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I mentioned previously, I prefer untuk guna quadcopter drones. If can I say the brand, DJI especially. Yeah. DJI has there's multiple sensors that can avoid from multiple sensor to avoid daripada dia collapse ataupun jatuh. Let's say kalau nak landing tu, kita boleh on dia punya sensors dia untuk safety precautions. So dia takkan anggar bangunan tu. Kalau drones tu betul-betul well maintained lah, well maintained lah. Kalau drone tu tak betul-betul maintain, sensor dia pun memang rosak jugalah, kan? So saya recommend lah untuk guna DJI lah buat masa ni, sebab dia punya performance setakat ni memang agak apa memerangsangkan lah, kan?
Okay. 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 Maksudnya macam untuk site inspection. Kalau untuk buat bagaimana drone tu berfungsi untuk site inspection kalau dalam construction?
Untuk site inspection, okay, site inspection biasanya kita akan guna multi-rotors punya drones, because multi-rotors ni dia can hover. Untuk inspection kita kena hover. Hover tu maksudnya dia terbang setempat untuk kita assess the structure, ataupun let's say kalau kita nak buat inspection untuk telecommunication towers, ya. Jadi dia perlu hover untuk kita capture, untuk kita assess all the structure of the tower. Okay, that's why I prefer to use multi-rotor drones. Okay, about the sensors can be if you want to inspect by the visual, just a visual inspection, you can use the digital camera with a high zooming level, which is as recommended SLR camera. Otherwise, you can use thermal camera. Thermal camera ni more specific lah, sebab dia nak access to leakage of the power. Misalnya kalau ada electricity leakage, untuk water pipeline surveillance, nak tengok gas leakage, jadi dia boleh detect dekat situ, ataupun nak tengok anomalies. Tapi biasanya kalau nak guna sensor RGB atau normal digital camera ni, dia nak access untuk correction, karat kat mana, ataupun aging of the structure. Macam mana keadaan structure tu, dah berkarat ke, tahap karat tu tahap mana, dia boleh access ke tahap tu lah kalau kita guna RGB camera. Jadi untuk inspection on site, untuk drones, saya prefer guna multi-rotor drones. And then for the sensor, we use the video sensor, normal kamera biasa, ataupun high level punya kamera yang boleh zooming. And then thermal camera, thermal sensor lah, thermal camera, thermal camera.
Okay. Jadi maksudnya result yang kita dapat daripada site inspection tu kita boleh terbitkan dalam bentuk 3D modeling ke macam mana?
Okay. Untuk site inspection ni biasanya kita tak provide 3D. Ada certain special case saja klien yang request 3D. Sebab apa dia request 3D tu? First sekali dia nak establish dia punya inventories punya system. That's why dia kena ada as-built. We call it as-built for the tower. Let's say for the telecommunication tower. Okay, we make the data capturing by using LiDAR ataupun guna RGB camera. We combine together. Biasanya LiDAR dia ada dua sensor dah, RGB dengan LiDAR, laser. Betul, saya prefer guna LiDAR sensor. So kita dah capture guna LiDAR sensor, kita dah ada solid punya S-bit pada masa tu, at that time. So dia ada inventories, kita boleh integrate dalam sistem kita based on dia punya file-filenya, kita migrate file itu ke dalam inventories database, and then kita buat tagging dekat structure, and then kita dah ada that tower at certain time. And then bila dah sampai satu masa, dia boleh analyse lah. Okay, katalah dia ada triggering system, contohnya macam dia punya radar, dia punya antena ni dia punya tahap lifespan dia berapa tahun. Jadi bila dia ada inventory tu, dia dah boleh predict dah. Dia boleh predict tahun bila, masa bila perlu inspection. That's why kita propose buat full assessment untuk inventory asset management.
Okay. Kat sini kita ada soalan di chat box. What is the accuracy level for the data collected by using drone searchlight labeling?
Okay, ini satu lagi kalau bagi saya, Mr. Tai Kun Yung Kong. Okay. Okay. Accuracy level is depend actually. Okay. Not all the drone sensors, the drones mapping can achieve at a certain level of accuracy. It depends because we use on the GCP establishment and the method of data capturing and method of data processing and analyzing, and we to combine together, and then we achieve the accuracy level. Kalau kita just buat mapping, let's say I ada drones, which is DJI Phantom 4, and then I fly drones, just rely on the RTK base, and then I bawa balik, I proses macam tu saja, tak ada GCP, tak ada apa ni ground truthing, tak ada orang kata support from the ground data, ground surveying data, kan? I tak boleh claim I punya accuracy at a certain level, tak boleh. That's why I mentioned previously, we must have the combination of mapping and surveying method so that we can integrate together and then we can assess for the accuracy level. Drone is not total solution provider, but if we have other integration from the other source of data, it can be a total solution provider. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Surveyor Izwan. Then, okay. Boleh tak kita nak tahu kan, maksudnya bagaimana sistem GIS ni boleh dikaitkan dengan drone?
GIS actually at the platform. Yeah, it's a platform. When kita boleh maksud saya kita push that platform, maknanya kita provided multiple source of data. So kita provide multiple data. Kita provide contohnya kalau yang dah biasa dengan GIS ni, for sure saya tengok sini ramai attendees dah biasa dengan GIS ni sebenarnya. Sorry lah, betulkan saya kalau salah. Kan? Okay, first kali, let's say we have the GIS platform with S3 platform, which is ArcGIS Pro. Okay, and then we input that our base map, which is guna drone aerial imagery. Okay, from aerial imagery itu, kita boleh combine with the cadastral map that support that provided by the JUPAM. Yeah, kita combine together, and then from the imagery data juga, and we can access for the EM, DSM, which is we can generate more data for the spatial analysis, and then from the aerial imagery auto juga we can extract the spatial punya data, let's say the building, road, anything, trees, and all the possible utilities, that visible utilities from the aerial data tadi. And then we can convert it to the others vector format, which is can be more what do you call it, more reliable for the site assessment. That's why when using drones data, it can be multiple of analysis. It can be multiple of data integration from to provide data driven decision making.
Okay, terima kasih TS Surveyor Izwan. Dan maka berakhirlah kita punya question and answer pada sesi pada hari ini. Dan saya mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada Dr. Kavita dan juga Encik Izwan di atas presentation yang sangat berinformasi dan juga great presentation lah. And then kami juga mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kerana sudi memberi pembintangan pada hari ini, dan juga saya pas kepada TS Diana untuk penutup.
Alright, okay, thank you so much, Dr. Ifa, and also thank you to our speakers for today, Dr. Kavita and also Surveyor Izwan, for very informative discussions. I also would like to thank all the participants for your active participation and also questions. All right, so for your information, we will share the presentation slides with you all together with your e-certificates via email. All right, so please kindly check your inbox from time to time. Before we leave, can we have a quick photo session for memory keeping? So I would really appreciate it if everyone could turn on your videos so that we can take photos. Okay, we have about 136 attendees for this morning. Okay, so
Very good
let's wait for everyone to-
participation, Diana. Very nice to
Yeah,
see all the participants.
yeah. I think for this session, we have the biggest audience yet.
Right, big applause to all the
Yeah,
participants.
thank you to the
Fantastic.
speakers as well. It's a very interesting topic, so people want to hear more, no? About
very quiet,
cybersecurity
lah.
and drones.
As usual, our Malaysian audience, very quiet audience, very deep, very
We-
well
we-
behaved
we-
audience.
Yeah.
I hope
Right.
everyone have learned and gained some information from our session today. Yeah? If you all have any inquiry, any clarification, I think you can always forward that to Diana. Diana, then we could assist on that.
Yep, no problem. Sure. All right, and we also shout out to KKR Sarawak. Right? KKR Sarawak sent about 50 packs, I think, if I'm not mistaken, to join this webinar. So
Fantastic.
thank you so much from KKR Sarawak. Okay, all right. So I guess everyone has turned on their camera. Can you guys? Okay, let me count to 3 and then keep smiling. All right. Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right, one more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, all right. Thank you so much, everyone, again for spending your Wednesday with us today. Thank you to Dr. Kavita and Survey
Pleasure.
Izwan for sharing your experience and knowledge with us. All right. So don't forget, we all have another session for this month. Next Tuesday, from the second to the 7th of June, where we have speakers from IGM, IBS, and also Sound Reconstruction to share their experience in technologies. And we also have our researcher in Senior Nagib to share about design for manufacturing assembly. Okay, so if you guys haven't registered for that session, please register now, and we'll see you next week, inshallah. And also don't forget to follow our social media and visit our website to stay updated with our upcoming webinars and events. All right. You can also watch our recordings of webinars on our official YouTube channel. If you missed any of our webinars previously, can check out the videos there in YouTube channel. Okay. So again, thank you so much, everyone. We hope to see you again next week. All right. Bye bye. Have a good day.